Every fandom has a character people love to hate, and in The Hunger Games, that character is Gale Hawthorne. By the end of the series, he's labeled heartless, ruthless. Some fans even nickname him the Prim Reaper for his unforgivable involvement in the bombing that killed Prim, and that's where the conversation stops. But reducing Gale to a villain ignores the larger truth of who he is. Gale Hawthorne isn't evil, he's a product of war. From the very beginning of The Hunger Games, Gale is defined by survival. His father dies in a preventable mining explosion when he's young, which pushes him at 14 to become the provider for his family. He's constantly living in fear of being caught hunting illegally and risks punishment daily. He also grew up in a system that had already taken everything from him. Unlike Katniss Everdeen, who internalizes her outrage and becomes extremely cautious, Gale externalizes his.
Safe for what? To starve? Work like slaves? Send their kids to the reaping? You haven't hurt people, Katniss. You've given them an opportunity.
He allows himself to feel anger, and that anger makes sense. He doesn't wake up one day wanting violence. He grows up in a world where violence is the only language power understands. Then, the destroys his home. In The Hunger Games Catching Fire, and later in Mockingjay, District 12 is firebombed into ash. When everything you love is reduced to rubble, rage doesn't feel extreme. It feels extremely justified. The moment that cements his reputation is the double explosion bombing strategy used in the final assault on the Capitol, the same strategy that ultimately kills Prim. It's why so many people call him the Prim Reaper. It's why so many fans never forgive him. But two things matter here. First, Gale didn't know Prim would be there, and he never intended to kill her. She was actually someone he cared deeply about and took under his wing when Katniss got taken to the Capitol for the 74th Games. The bomb was also meant to target enemy medics as a military tactic, which was brutal, yes, but in his mind, it was strategic. Second, Gale didn't operate alone. President Alma Coin recognized his anger and exploited it. She validated his most extreme instincts because they served her military strategy and benefited her rise to power. War may ignite anger, but it's those in power who shape that anger into a weapon. By the end, Gale represents something uncomfortable. The reality that victims of oppression can adopt the same ruthless logic as their oppressors. He becomes a part of the rebellion willing to mirror the Capitol's cruelty to defeat it. And that's something Katniss ultimately cannot accept. As Katniss moves toward healing and away from vengeance, she chooses Peeta Mellark, someone who consistently embodies empathy, patience, and emotional safety. That choice doesn't just resolve the love triangle, but it also shapes how the audience interprets Gale. When the protagonist rejects someone, the audience often does too.
Goodbye, Gale.
From that point on, Gale isn't judged in isolation. He's judged in comparison. Next to Peeta's softness, he seems harsher. Next to Katniss's desire for peace, he seems stuck in anger. He symbolizes what prolonged trauma and justified anger can become when they're constantly fueled by war. He reflects the moral gray areas of rebellion, the uncomfortable truth that good intentions could still lead to devastating consequences. That doesn't make him a villain. It makes him a casualty of the very conflict he fought to end.